The reason I bought this bike was I was looking for an affordable solution to picking up a machine that I could use for primarily single track trail riding, but I wanted it to be street legal so I can ride from the house to wherever it is I want to go trail riding. I think the WR250R hits that spot pretty well. So if you haven't hit subscribe yet, click the damn button, man, and get it done. Yeah, we're gonna have a good time on this build. We're gonna knock back a few brewskis, and we're gonna build a badass little Yamaha WR250R. Check it out. Picked this bike up on the used market. It's a 2012 and the bike's in pretty good shape. You see up front on the headlight shroud, you know, it's missing the decal, but I actually did that when I was power washing the bike, getting it cleaned up for the project. Other than that, if you take a look, the bike's in really good condition. I mean, it's got some scuffs, some scratches just from some riding through the years, but overall I would say the bike has been taken very good care of. As we walk around, the bike does have a few modifications already put on it, but they're primarily cosmetic. One is the obvious one here is it's got a set of highway dirt bike full wraparound handguards on it. Now, these are pretty cool. I've seen them before, but I've never had a set. And the cool thing about them is they got these little flip out mirrors. So when you're riding on the road, you can just flip the mirror out, and then when you're off-roading, you can just flip the mirror in behind here, and it keeps it out of harm's way for off-road riding. The bike's also got a set of Pro Taper SE handlebars on it, which they look fine and they look nice, and seems to be a pretty quality installation there, so we'll probably leave those on as well. That's just things we don't have to do. Other than that, this bike is box stock. I mean, you can see we still got the factory safety decals on the tank. It's still sitting with all the original plastic. I mean, there is some damage. There's a little puncture here and a few scratches and scrapes. The rest of the bike looks really good though. Another modification that came on the bike, it's already had the rear fender eliminator kit put on it and some LED lights. It does have a broken tail light over here, or turn signal I mean, over here, so we'll be addressing that as we go along through the project. Other than that, the bike is very stock, still sitting with the stock exhaust system. All of the stock smog controls still on the bike. Doesn't appear to have many modifications at all. The bike does not have an aftermarket skid plate on it, so basically just missing any kind of real skid protection there, bash plate. So of course, when I was checking the bike out to buy it, took a close look at the underside of the engine cases to make sure there was no damage there resulting from not having that bash protection, but overall the bike's looking pretty good. I'm going to pop the seat off the bike, and it's just held on with two 10mm bolts that are coming up from under the fender. Alright, and then once I've got those two bolts out from the bottom, the back of the seat should just lift up and the whole thing slides back like this. Easy. Now this left side cover is held on with a 5mm Allen bolt here. And once that Allen bolt is out, the cover basically just pulls right off. The top's held on just with a little clip, and then this exposes your battery side. The right side cover is also held on with a 5mm Allen in the bottom corner. So I'll spin that bolt out. Same way, should just come right off. And the back has a little clip that slides up into the plastic fender. And the front, once again, is just held on with a little clip there. So it comes right off, and this exposes your air box. Now I'm going to remove the radiator shroud. So normally on these Phillips bolts you would use a number 3 screwdriver to get into that size of a bolt, but what I found here was this bolt was extremely tight. Phillips bolts are notorious for, when they're tight, you get on them with a screwdriver, the next thing you know it slips and you've damaged that screw. So the best thing to use when this happens is a impact screwdriver. This is an impact screwdriver, and using an impact screwdriver can guarantee you can get out those really tight bolts without damaging the head. You just put it in just like you would a normal screwdriver, but instead of twisting on it, you put a little bit of pressure like you're trying to turn that out, and then just smack that with a hammer and it breaks it free without damaging the screw head. And I'll take it the rest of the way out with a number 3 screwdriver. And down here there is a clip, so you just pull a little bit and the whole back side of the radiator shroud comes loose. Then on the front side of the radiator shroud, and I apologize about the strap that's in the way of the video, but I've got the bike set up on a bike lift and I like to keep straps on them to keep them from falling off. But there's a 5mm down low. You take this one out, and then there's one more right up behind this where I've got this stupid strap. If we take out that last one, that should free up this radiator shroud to be taken off. And then once you've got this screw and the 2 up front off, the radiator shroud just falls right off. On this side, the main difference is this is where your radiator lives, so instead of that big plastic cover, we've actually got our radiator guard here, and these 2 bolts are right on the outside of the radiator guard. Okay, now we're going to remove the back fender, and this is really easy. You've got 2 10mm bolts here, and then you've got the ECU that's mounted to the fender. So the ECU is held on with this little rubber O-ring. Just pull that off, and then the ECU should come right out of there, and you can just lean it forward out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and put my rubber band back on there so I don't lose it. Use a 10mm to take these 2 bolts out. And once those are out, super easy. You just grab your fender, slide it backwards, and it'll come out of its little clip back here and come right off. I'm going to take the front fender off. This is super easy. There's 4 10mm bolts right up under the underside of the fender, bolting it directly to the triple trees. Just reach under there with a 10mm, take those out, and the fender comes right off. There it is. Now once those 4 bolts are out, you're attached to the bottom of the headlight housing by a little plug clips. Just pull straight down and it'll pop right out. You got to turn it sideways like this to weasel it out of the forks, but here you can see the rubber grommets that these little plugs were clipped into. I'm going to remove the headlight housing from the bike, and in this case we've already got the fender off, so this is super easy. The only thing really holding the headlight on, you've got 2 8mm bolts, one on each side. So take those 8mm bolts out. There's one. And once you pop that 8mm bolt out, your light just falls off. Now if you still have the front fender on, you would have to pick this up to get these pins out of the rubber grommets on the fender, but in this case the fender's already off. Then just unplug the headlight and the headlight housing is off.